You're listening to Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. Comics, television, movies, and more. If it impacts fan culture, we have something to say about it. And now, your hosts, Jordan, Cliff, and Seth.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. We are glad to have you here at Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. My name is Jordan Lowe.
I'm Cliff Barnes.
Seth.
And it's the most wonderful time of the year. It is almost
Christmas?
free. Nope. Second. It's a close first or second between Christmas and free comic book day.
Oh, that's right. That is better.
Can you believe it? It's almost the first Saturday of May.
I cannot believe it. I cannot believe it. Here we are.
Yeah, I just had to break it to you guys that summer movie challenge is coming up. Get your picks in. So
yeah, Thunderbolts is coming to theaters. We're gonna have a big comic book movie that weekend.
We're back.
Start of summer movie season.
Did we just have?
Man.
How many years off did we have of not a comic book day movie?
Just two?
Yeah, there was one last year, wasn't there?
Yeah, Deadpool, wasn't it, last year? So maybe it's just the year before it didn't have anything.
Yeah.
I think so. We're back.
They just dropped the
Asterisk.
McFarlane just dropped some Superman toy stuff today on the internet, so people were excited. Michael was excited.
As we are recording this, it is Superman Day.
That's right.
Oh my gosh.
Anniversary of the day. Action Comics #1 hit the stands, introducing Superman.
Wow. It's all coming together.
So free comic book day. What is it? What's it all about? What can you expect? Well, that's what we're here for. We're going to tell you. It has been going on since 2002. So my first one at Asylum was 2006. So this is my 20th year doing free comic book day. I've been there almost since the beginning.
I usually only celebrate your half free comic book day.
That's fair.
You like to surprise me with a free comic out of nowhere. Like, oh, there it is. All right, so that is a day they came up with way back in 2002 to celebrate comic books, a wholly original American art form that we invented here, just to celebrate what they are, to reward loyal customers who shop at your stores, and to open up the door to the community at large. Some who may have never gone in there, may not know what's in there, what's going on. It's a day to just open up and welcome the world to the joys of comic books. So at Asylum in Marietta, Ohio, 212 3rd Street, if you're in our region, we'll be having it again Saturday, May 3rd. We are doing 3 free books per person. So anybody who shows up, no purchase necessary, no strings attached, you can get 3 freebies.
They should call it Free Comic Books Day.
That would be more accurate. But we're also doing a canned food drive. So for every non-perishable food item or $1 donation to the Tri-County Food Pantry, you can get another item. So you can load up. You can get you can clear the table if you want. So that's what we are going to do. You can check out freecomicbookday.com. Has a ton of articles and previews and all the things you can look forward to.
They should do that while they're listening to this episode.
Oh yeah, you can pull it up because I'm going to show you guys through our little Zoom camera some covers and things. But yeah, you can go on the website and check out what to expect. Again, not every participating shop will have every book. There are 2 different levels of sponsorship, so your mileage may vary, but these are the general things to look for. And a word to the parents out there, they color code the logos on the books for parental guidance. So a green logo is for all ages. A blue logo is for teens, 13 plus-ish, just kind of general audiences. And a red is a mature book, so it might be a little more R-rated. So
this is a green episode.
Yes, we're super green, Corbin. All right, so we're doing, at Asylum, we're going to do a sale. We're going to do half-price back issues. We're going to take percentages off trade paperbacks and toys. We're gonna do outside activities. We're gonna have games for the kids to do and some fun little things to spend the day. So
funtivities.
We hope you'll join us. What's that?
I said
funtivities.
Funtivities.
You got it. So if you're not in our area, this is a worldwide event. So check your local comic book shop, see if they are participating, and go have some fun. It's a holiday. It's a celebration, and we love it. So I'm going to do a quick little a preview of maybe some of the things you can expect to find, and you can maybe start planning your list. How many cans of green beans you need to bring? How many books you're gonna want to take home? So here we go. The gold sponsors. There are 12 gold sponsors this year. That means if you are a participating retailer, you will have all 12 of these. These are the main books that every participating shop will have while supplies last. Another asterisk there we can put. All right, so we'll start with Marvel, I guess. There's an Amazing Spider-Man and Ultimate Universe one-shot. So there's a Spider-Man story. Joe Kelly and John Romita Jr. Are the team on the new, recently relaunched Spider-Man book. So we get a story from them. And we get the first look at Ultimate Spider-Man Incursion, which is introducing Miles Morales to this new Ultimate line that Marvel's been doing that's been pretty successful. And a little teaser for something coming up, a Spider-Man Venom Carnage crossover. So basically you get three stories in one there. Mm-hmm. And the other Marvel book, Fantastic Four and Giant Size X-Men. We've got a big FF movie coming out this summer, so we're spotlighting that. So that's a story from Ryan North and Humberto Ramos, which again is the creative team. They're relaunching that with a new #1 next month. So we're going to get a little taste of their run on the book. And then Giant Size X-Men, they're doing a series of one-shots with Ms. Marvel, basically time traveling to classic eras of the X-Men's past. We don't know why she's unstuck in time or what's going on, but she shows up right around Giant Size X-Men #1 when the new Wolverine and Nightcrawler and Storm are introduced. So she's going to revisit some of those classic X-Men eras. And then this issue also had a really fun backup story, really short story from Chip Zdarsky, who wrote and drew it, that I thought was super clever. It introduces some weird multiversal variants of Deadpool and Wolverine who realize their first appearances in a free comic book day book, and they're like, that sucks. The collectors won't want that. There's no variant covers. There won't be any new printing, so they have to go on a mission through the multiverse to try to have a better first appearance. So I thought that was really clever. All right, another gold book, Minecraft the manga. That's the biggest
chicken jockey. Right,
yeah, you gotta throw your popcorn.
Puke.
So that's a black and white manga that reads right to left and has a Beyblade backup story, which I know that's from some years in the past. That must still be a thing. Exciting.
Yeah, I remember those. Little spinny tops. Cooper had a bunch of them. Not fun to step on.
Dr. Seuss sampler from some of the graphic novels they've been doing with Seuss characters. So this one has a sample of Green Eggs and Ham and the Lost Kitten. Thing 1 and Thing 2 have homework to do, and Grinch takes a vacation. So yeah, if your kid loves the Seuss books, this is kind of expanding those worlds into fun little easy reader graphic novels.
I bet Thing 1 and Thing 2 rarely get their homework done.
Oh my, I see like Thing 12 and 13 in here, something crazy.
Oh yeah. No way.
Fun. All right, we have a Star Wars Young Jedi Adventures. It's an animated series on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
All right.
You got it.
And that has an Avatar: The Last Airbender backup. So if you've got younger Star Wars fans, that'll be perfect for them. It's not Free Comic Day without Archie and the gang. We have Archie's Comic Spectacular. This has like 10 short stories in it. It looks huge. I see Jughead. I see Sabrina. I see Reggie.
I glanced at the Free Comic Book Day website just before we started, and that was like the top book listed. I was like, oh, Archie. Okay.
Archie's gonna be there too. All right, we've got a Speed Racer book coming up from Mad Cave Studios. They got the license to Speed Racer, so they're going to do a brand new series with that. And I'm looking forward to. There's a backup story from Mark Russell, the writer, who I really like. Does a lot of good comedy and social commentary. He's doing a Racer X spinoff series. So they've already, before the book has even launched, we have a Racer X spinoff. So I'm looking forward to that.
They're good, Ben.
This one might be the strangest of the bunch. We'll see. It might win the top award. Thundercats and Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah, I saw that cover.
Gosh.
It's like a homage cover to Thundercats #1 from 1985.
Yeah, it has a similar look to it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's drawn in the very, Powerpuff Girlsy style. So it's very
Powerpuffy,
cartoony look to it.
Yeah.
It's coming. That's just going to preview there's a crossover miniseries coming up. You're going to get your first taste of it here. We got Boom has a flip book, Power Rangers Prime, which is the new series coming out. Power Rangers, and on the other side, VR Troopers. So that was a classic cartoon back in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Saban.
Saban, very Power Ranger-esque. Next year we'll probably get Big Bad Beetleborgs.
There's nothing from anyone's childhood that will ever go out.
Never.
Little Loggers, Free Comic Day 2026.
Proof.
Little loggers are lumbermen. Got their pets and tools with them.
Ranger Rick's gotta move the log downriver.
Chops the Beaver can help.
It's Kenner's new Little Loggers. You can fill them with water.
All right, Image has a I Hate Fairyland, the Scotty Young fantasy humor book. It's about a little girl who gets her wish and goes to an amazing fantasy land of cotton candy and rainbows, but she gets stuck there for 27 years, and by the end of it, she's just a bitter, horrible, angry little child. So it's sort of a R-rated fantasy story of what could go wrong in a land like that. So you get a little recap of that series and a couple of little teases of what's coming up soon. Titan, their biggest license is Conan. Conan, Scourge of the Serpent. It's a prelude to an upcoming story, Jim Zub and Ivan Gill. And the final gold sponsor is, second year in a row, we get the Energon Universe one-shot special. So this is the Image Skybound universe that combined G.I. Joe, Transformers, and Void Rivals, Robert Kirkman's book. And this one has kind of a big surprise in it. I'm not allowed to tell anybody.
Oh, come on, Hydra Cap. You
Do you guys want a spoiler here?
Yeah. You can
react.
beep it out.
You can't, say what it is.
Okay.
Although
I would never.
Cliff will say, holy cow, and Seth will say, who is that? But there is a cameo.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Okay.
Who is that?
That's pretty neat. Pretty cool theme song.
That might have people talking.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Plus, it's just a fun book. They tie in the Energon with the G.I. Joe red and blue lasers and the sci-fi Void Rival aliens stuff.
Yeah, that property is on a little bit of a comeback. Had a New York Toy Fair a few weeks ago, and that was one of the big surprises. New line coming out.
All right, so any participating shop should have all 12 of those as the frontline books for the year, but there's a whole bunch of other stuff. I won't go into every single thing possible, but I'll hit some highlights. Boom Studios has their 20th anniversary special. So it samples a couple of their biggest hits over the last 20 years, like Berserker, the Keanu Reeves book, Mark Waid's Irredeemable, and Mouse Guard, so some of their biggest properties. Oni has an EC book. They brought back these EC comics, the classic horror and sci-fi books from the 40s and 50s. So it has 3 stories. Epitaphs from the Abyss is the horror side of things. Cruel Universe is the sci-fi, and Cruel Kingdom is the fantasy. So it's kind of a throwback, nasty horror stories before the Comics Code cleaned everything up. We got Find Your New Fear from IDW. So later this summer, IDW is launching IDW Dark. It's a line of darker horror comics. So you're going to get a 30 Days of Night story, which is kind of the book that put IDW on the map. And also Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, Rite of Spring, the sequel that's coming out, which is kind of their latest huge hit. So you're going to get the first little chapter of that.
I liked that miniseries.
Yeah, that was a really big seller for them.
Yeah. I think it was like Patrick Horvath or something was his name.
Right, yep. So Twisted Comics is kind of a newer player on the scene, has a Black Mirror series. They are going to adapt some of the most popular episodes. So this one is San Junipero, arguably the best Black Mirror episode. So they're adapting that into a fun comic book. We have Mark Spears' Monsters, who's a really hot artist at the moment. Basically, this book, he started it as a line of trading cards, doing classic monsters, Wolfman and Dracula and that kind of stuff, in his really cool painterly style. And that took off so well, he started his own book. So it's not quite the Universal Monsters, but it's very iconic, archetypal, creature feature kind of stuff. So that's a fun series that's been going on recently. Get a little sample of that. Brand new story, not a reprint. The other one from IDW, Godzilla, The New Heroes. So there's a whole line of Godzilla books coming out this summer that's going to be kind of intertwined. There's an ongoing monthly Godzilla series by Tim Seeley and Nicola Cismezia. And then Escape the Dead Zone, which is a spin-off of that, for sort of the part of the planet that's been destroyed by the kaijus. So it's sort of a wasteland apocalyptic type story. And then Starship Godzilla, about a crew in space dealing with space kaijus. So how about that?
How about that?
Post Malone's Big Rig.
Oh, there we go.
Celebrity and now comic book writer Post Malone has come up with a new series. It says The Evil Dead meets Mad Max. So it's a crazy big rig trucking apocalyptic story. It's currently in development with Michael Bay to be turned into a movie. So if you want to get into the ground floor
trucker
of that,
hats in this universe, I bet. A lot of trucker hats.
Tear tats.
Yeah.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
You get the first chapter.
Jelly Roll's going to be driving one of them things.
I don't know if anyone you go the exact opposite of Post Malone with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. That's somehow a completely different human being.
Okay.
He has a new graphic novel coming up called Champion. It's about a young high school basketball player who kind of is going through some stuff, and he starts learning about Kareem's past and his struggles and his dealing with politics and the world around him, and kind of learning what that entails. So
how old is
Kareem? Younger readers.
Anybody know? Want to take a guess?
Kareem, I will guess. Ooh.
He's on the cover with Martin Luther King Jr. here. So I mean,
78. That'd be his first thing comes to my mind.
Jordan? Care to
I'm
guess?
going to say probably 82.
82?
Yeah.
He was born April 16th, guys, 2 days ago as of this recording. He is 78 years old.
Oh, good guess.
Oh, nailed it.
Nailed it. 1947. Still relevant. Pretty neat.
Making comics. It's
Writing
never too late.
Never. You can be on episodes of Dave, make comics.
Make comics. You can still do it. I want to be on an episode of Dave.
Right. We also have a Gargoyles.
I want to be the new Biff Whiff.
We need one.
You be Spiffwith.
There's an opening.
Spiffwith.
Seth West.
That's good.
All right, so the Disney Afternoon classic Gargoyles has a series about Demona. This is a prologue to the villain Demona story. And then there's a short story in the back that has a pretty unexpected crossover.
DuckTales.
Again, we'll keep it quiet, but this is some Disney synergy right there.
Okay.
It's set in New York, so that makes sense, I guess.
Sure.
And you two can learn what the secret holds one day. Transformers, the worst bought ever. It's kind of a middle grade reader book. Introduced to Ballpoint, a tiny little Decepticon who's a pin, and it's his origin story, and he kind of embellishes how important he is to the Decepticon cause.
Looks like a GoBot.
Tiny little bot, yeah. We get a Star Wars sampler from Marvel. They just wrapped up their recent books that were set between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, and are launching a whole new set of books set after Jedi. So this is kind of set in that era. So you get a Luke story. There's a story about the guy who takes care of Darth Vader in Castle Vader, the weird Igor type guy who runs that. And
Star Wars Celebration's happening right now.
Oh, indeed. And a couple Marvel books, Marvel Voices. That anthology series, you're going to get a brand new Ironheart story, and then several backups. The Black Panther story, these are reprints. A Mystique story, Robbie Reyes, the Ghost Rider, and Kahori, the native characters introduced during the What If series. You get a short story from her.
I liked her in that.
There's a fun book called Hulk Teach for the younger kids. This is Jeffrey Brown.
English?
Kind of broke out big on those Star Wars books. Vader and Son and Jedi Academy. Does very cartoony Star Wars-y book. So this is another one, kind of a very silly Hulk as a substitute teacher story. And we've got another animated spinoff, Iron Man and His Awesome Friends, and Spidey and His Amazing Friends. Stories based on those kid-friendly cartoons. And a couple from DC as well. Superman's Good Guy Gang. So this is the first very early readers line they're going to do. So you get a sample from the first graphic novel from that. Superman, Hawkgirl, and Guy Gardner form a fun team as like kids. Kanga Yu. This is the middle grade reader. Wonder Woman spinoff with Jumpa, the kangaroo, her pet sidekick. So you get a good Wonder Woman story. And the DC All-In Special. It's another flip book. So you get a sample of Superman Unlimited. Back to that guy again, Superman Summer. And Dan Slott and Raphael Albuquerque, who are going to be creative team on that book. And then on the flip side, the Absolute universe that's been going on. Real hot books at the moment. You're going to get a new villain introduced. The Absolute version of a new villain. Jeff Lemire and Giuseppe Camuncoli. So that's all the ones I've got previewed. That seems like a lot. That seems like some good stuff. Again, some are reprints, plenty of brand new stuff, or if you haven't seen it before, it's all new to you. So how would you know?
It's free. What do you want? It's free.
Right. So that's some great stuff to look forward to. I've got a little bit of comic book news. The other things we do on this podcast, we try to keep you up to date on what's going on in the world. And I've been covering the Diamond bankruptcy. So Diamond Comic Distributors, for most of my 20 years in business, was the monopoly where everyone got their comics from. And in 2020, things kind of split up, and some new distributors came on the scene. And just recently, Diamond declared bankruptcy. And we were all kind of in a holding pattern, not quite sure what that was going to mean. But we just had the auction, and I'm still not sure exactly what's going on. But here's the best I know to my ability. So most of this info is from Heidi McDonald of comicsbeat.com. She's been doing a good job kind of keeping this legalese, all these court filings and contracts and all this stuff I do not understand. I'll tell you up front, I have no idea what most of this stuff means, but she kind of has been translating it for the layperson, so that's helpful. So it's Diamond sold. They declared bankruptcy and had basically a month to offload all their assets. A different, they're a comic distributor, they're a game distributor, they have a grading company, Free Comic Book Day. They own, that's a part of the business. So several different assets.
You should have bought that part, Jordan. You should have bid on Free Comic Book Day.
Ka-Pow presents Free Comic Book Day.
Man, missed opportunities.
Yeah.
Sue anybody that tries. Oh, damn.
Did it. The pressure was too much. All right, so the bankruptcy auction was to sell off Diamond and all those chunks. And there was a whole bunch of speculation of who in the comic world is going to step in. There were all these rumors that Todd McFarlane, there's all kind of non-disclosure agreements and everything's hush-hush, but you have to file all this stuff publicly. So stuff gets out there. So Todd McFarlane Productions apparently put a bid in at some point, and people are like, Todd's going to buy Diamond and distribute comics.
Yeah, I had heard that.
Probably not. If he may have just been looking at the toy side of things, or who knows. But so there were all these rumors of who's going to do this and who's going to do that, and it ended up being somebody from completely outside of the comic world. Alliance Entertainment Holding Company, which confused me at start because Alliance Distribution is a part of Diamond. That's like their game distributor. There's Diamond Distribution and Alliance Distribution, and they were bought by a company also called Alliance. So at the start, I was like, how does Diamond buy itself? What is going on? But no, this is a different Alliance. All right, so as Diamond, the last couple years, as they were losing, they lost DC, they lost Marvel, they lost Image. So as the comics were going out the door, they pivoted and were trying to bolster the toy and the game business. So they went all in on the collectible side of things. And it worked. It made them more valuable, and this outside buyer was going in from that direction. So that made them... There were some people that didn't think Diamond would sell at all, that it was just too damaged goods. But it sold for more than what was expected for, so crazy. So this Alliance is a global wholesaler and distributor of music, movies, video games, and collectibles. The CEO, Jeff Walker, and Executive Chairman Bruce Ogilvy both had origins in the music industry. So this started out selling records and tapes, and then has expanded as music went digital again. They had to pivot and sold more physical media and collectibles and things like that. So again, I'm not 100% sure what all parts of Diamond went where and how and for what, but it seems like they got the comic distributor side of things, Alliance bought the Alliance, the game distributor side of things, Diamond Select Toys, and the CGA, Collectible Grading Authority. There's other assets and smaller chunks of the business that haven't been ironed out yet or hasn't been made public yet, but that's as far as I know. So it looks like the winning bid was like $85 million, something like that. But then at the last minute, after this had been announced, Diamond apparently favored a bid from Universal Distribution and Ad Populum for like less than $70 million. So Alliance was over 80, and then Diamond's like, nah, we're going to go with these people who bid less. And people are like, what is going on? So Universal, they're known as the Diamond of Canada. So the Canadian distributors, and I'm sure they've all worked together and know each other. So the Canadian company was trying to buy that to get more of North America. And then Ad Populum owns a whole bunch of pop culture brands. They own NECA, they own WizKids, they own Party City, and they also own the Elvis Presley estate and Graceland. So anything Elvis is through this company as well. So they combined together, I'm sure, to split up whatever assets and made a bid. So Alliance filed a complaint in the bankruptcy court and said Diamond was secretly negotiating with this group and then ghosted Alliance after they'd already entered into negotiations.
Wow.
So the courts ruled for Alliance and said, no, you can't sell to the lower bidder. And so the question is still out there, like, why did they not want the...
Yeah.
So again, there's all just speculation. Apparently, the second place bid, there was more cash up front, so the alliance was a little more back-end deal sort of thing. Or there was a question, is it because they would be better for the comic industry? Is there some sort of loyalty? Diamond wants to keep comics at the forefront, and a comic distributor from Canada would be better than a music distributor, out there. But again, nobody knows exactly what Diamond was thinking there. But it doesn't matter because the courts ruled that they couldn't take a lower bid. So there you go, Diamond. So all this is going on. Bruce Ogilvy, chairman, appeared on a podcast called The Industry of Comics with a couple of retailers. Just kind of, they were asking questions, trying to figure out who he is and what he's got going on. And they asked why they wanted Diamond. And his quote was, "It's a natural extension of who we are. We sell Funkos, Hasbro, Legos, Mattel. It's a very small part of our business. 50 million of our 1.1 billion. But it's a big leapfrog into an area there. Whenever we buy a company, it opens new relationships with new suppliers. It's also a diversify or die. If I talk to investors, it's, who buys a CD? Now we can make a statement. This is collectibles. You can't download it and you can't stream it." So yeah, that seems like, again, they're trying to pivot into what's hot right now is the games and toys and the collectibles market. So if you can't make money selling CDs or comics, we're going to pivot that way. So that comics didn't seem to be on the back burner of this whole deal. And again, it's because we've talked about this before. It's because the comics are so low margin, you have to sell a ton of them. And if you've lost DC and Marvel and Image and Dark Horse and IDW, if you've lost all those companies, you're just selling the indie comics, and those could be into the hundreds or maybe thousands per issue, and you just don't have those margins. So another quote he said that worried people, quote, "There's just not enough volume for the labor involved. We don't like to sell $5 CDs and DVDs. We can't make any money on them. We want to sell $20 products. That's the challenge because the labor cost and the freight cost just sucks all the profit out of it. We have a 95 cents rule. If we can't make 95 cents moving through our warehouse, we have to make a minimum because that's what it costs to move things through." So his bottom line is he's not going to carry it if it doesn't make him 95 cents. There isn't a comic on the planet whose margins make the distributor 95 cents. So that selling $4 and $5 comics just isn't going to work through these guys without the volume you would need. So the other thing that raised red flags on this podcast, the free comic book day trademark wasn't mentioned as part of these acquisitions. So we don't know if anyone owns that or if it's still up in the air. But the guy didn't seem to know what it was. So somebody asked him, "Are you going to keep free comic book day going?" And he said, "There's no free record day. There's record store day. Diamond was not a very profitable business, and that's why it went into bankruptcy. If I don't make it profitable, I'm going to have a very grumpy bank and employees." So his mind is like, we can't give stuff away, not seeing the advertising and the promotion aspect of it. So he was just immediately like, that's a dumb idea. It's like, well, it's been the biggest promotion for 20 years. But again, that just seems... Again, this was about toys and games. This was not like we're going to buy a comic distributor. We're going to expand. We're going to get 2,500 new stores to be able to sell our records and Funkos and stuff. And we're going to get all these new accounts and all that stuff. So comics might enter into it at some point. They might not. So Diamond as a entity is going to survive in some fashion, but it looks like, again, the comics are going to be weaned out of. So at the end, the podcaster said the comics thing wasn't a big part of this at all, it seems. And he says, no, it wasn't. It wasn't 100% of it. So he basically just admitted, that they weren't buying a comics company. It was a collectibles company. So I don't know what that means. Again, there's a lot more to be continued from this whole saga, and we're going to find out. But it's been an interesting few years.
Yeah.
The other big comic news happening right this second is the Transformers Kickstarter that's going on, smashing all kind of records. So we had the G.I. Joe Kickstarter happen, where they collected all those 80s Marvel series into one big, beautiful, gorgeous slipcase hardcover set. So we knew Transformers couldn't be too far behind. And they're doing the same thing. They had a $40,000 goal that was met in 2 minutes. And there's still several weeks to go, and it's still churning. They've unlocked, dozen or more stretch goals. There's bookmarks and trading cards and patches and pins. I saw a challenge coin that had the Autobot logo on one side and the Decepticons on the other. Looked pretty cool. So this one's probably going to break. G.I. Joe was the record for comic books on Kickstarter, and this was probably going to break their record. And I'm not a huge Transformers fan, so I can't speak to this perfectly, but I know it does. There's 2 different versions. So there's going to be 2 big hardcovers that's just Transformers, the Marvel line, that went like 72 issues, 74 issues, something like that. And then there's going to be 2 Transformers UK, which were the British versions that did different stuff than the American version. So you can get 2 Americans and then 2 UKs that collect the full runs, but then they're doing the Till All Are One version, where they're going to combine them into a reading order that kind of, for the first time, gives you a fuller story, combining the American and the UK into one long, continuous saga between the 2. So if you're a huge Transformers buff, that's probably something you've been waiting for a long time.
So, I guess the question is, if you got the G.I. Joe, do you get the Transformers? Famously, we Jordan's theory, you were a G.I. Joe or a Transformers kid.
You can't have both.
Well, Skybound doesn't seem to agree with me, because I've got like 15 emails from them because they know I bought the G.I. Joe one, so I'm on the list. And they're like, you can bid for this too. I'm like, no, thank you. But they won't take no for an answer because they just keep telling me about this awesome comic.
Man, it looks so nice on the shelf, though.
They're pretty. I can confirm they do a good job. Oh,
yeah.
We've got the spot gloss. We've got the foil embossments. We've got the gilded edges and the ribbon. Like, we've already unlocked all those goals. So it's going to definitely look as nice.
What if one of your customers came in and said, I missed out? I'm upset because I missed out on the G.I. Joe one. I'm hearing about this Transformers one. What is it, hopeless?
Yeah, normally it would be, Normally it would be. But I just so happen to have a Kickstarter exclusive G.I. Joe book on the shelf at this very moment. You can come into Asylum and see how pretty it looks and how well made it is before you bid on that Transformers.
Oh, man. But there's not very many places out there with one of those, so that sounds pretty awesome.
All right, speaking of recent comics, I got a couple recommendations I'll throw out for you. If you guys have been reading anything, be sure and let me know. The DC side of things, the Absolute books are still super hot, super popular.
They're nice.
We expanded the lines. So we got Absolute Flash from Jeff Lemire and Nick Robles. Absolute Green Lantern from Al Ewing and Janoy Lindsay. And Absolute Martian Manhunter from Dennis Camp and Javier Rodriguez, which was solicited as a 6-issue miniseries, but before the first issue even shipped, it was bumped up to 12 issues because they've been going so well. So those join Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman to have basically a new.
I have a couple
slate.
Absolutes. I'm trying. I think I just have 2. I have the Green Arrow one, Kevin Smith, and what's the other one?
That's a different thing. That's the hardcover collections. This is like the DC's Ultimate Universe. It's called the Absolute.
Oh, I see. I don't know what you're talking about.
We're using the same brand name.
That's not. You should not do that.
It's a little confusing.
Obviously, we just proved that.
But they make nice hardcovers too. They're pretty.
They are nice. Yes.
DC has the Summer of Superman special just came out, so this was kind of kicking off. There's a big push this summer to get Superman stuff out there as the movie's coming out. This is a one-shot kind of kicking off the new storylines. Mark Waid, Dan Slott is moving over to DC for the first time, and Joshua Williamson. All 3 wrote this one-shot story with art by Jorge Jimenez. That's a good ground floor if you're wanting to get into Superman. That's a good place to start. We also had a mature reader's book, Peacemaker Presents Vigilante and Eagly double feature.
I saw that. Yeah.
So this is a 5-issue miniseries with 2 stories in each one. The vigilante stories from HBO's Peacemaker, and then his pet sidekick Eagly are going to get 2 stories. And it's all masterminded by James Gunn. He kind of came up with the stories and is overseeing this whole thing. So it's definitely going to tie into the show if you enjoyed that. And then probably the biggest book of the year, perhaps, Batman 158 Hush 2 has begun. Jeff Loeb and Jim Lee, after many, many years, have returned to do a sequel to Hush, where the next 6 issues of Batman are going to be Jim Lee art, Jeff Loeb script, going back to that classic Batman story. The Marvel side of things, the One World Under Doom event is happening. So we got the main series by Ryan North and R.B. Silva, and then several spin-offs and tie-ins and stuff like that. So Doom has taken over the world, and all the heroes are like, how did he do it? Who did he trick? How did this happen? And it's basically him just offering, but like he fixes things, and he takes over and says, this isn't going to happen anymore. We're going to do it this way. And people are starting to be like, hey, maybe let's give Doom a shot. Who knows? Can't be bad. So he's basically taken over the world.
Can't be any worse.
Yeah,
No.
who knows?
Good old Doom.
All right, we had a Marvel Rivals one-shot. So this super popular video game, this first one was a reprint of a digital series from the Marvel Unlimited app. So the first one's a reprint of a digital comic, and then there's going to be a few more coming up. This game is just so popular. And the print comic comes with a free code for an unlimited appetite Jeff the Landshark spray. And I know what most of those words mean, but not quite in that order. I don't know what a spray is, but that's what I'm told it is called. So you get a free one, whatever that might be in the game.
I thought we were keeping this green.
So Jeff the Landshark has gotten very popular thanks to this game. So they're doing a couple one-shots of him, too. So if you love Jeff,
sounds like
unlimited appetite.
A one-shot.
All right, so Daredevil Cold Day in Hell #1 just launched. It's a 3-issue miniseries. Charles Soule and Steve McNiven, 2 really great creators. In the back of the book, there's a little essay, and basically it said Charles Soule did it like the old school Marvel method. He just gave a very brief outline of the plot and let Steve McNiven draw whatever he wanted to. It's like, you do you, Steve. And he did a 16-panel grid on each page. And then there's some splashes and different things. But the basis of the whole book is 16 panels. And he was like, if I told an artist to do that, hey, draw 16 panels every page, they would murder me. But it was his idea, so he did. But it just, it's...
full disclosure. Do you know how many times when I see a page that is like that, I just move on? Like, I have a hard time following it. Like, I look at it and think, okay, I have to go through and look at each of these little things in succession and figure out what's going on. It's usually some fight, and it's like just and I just turn the page.
But again, there's only a couple pages with 16 full panels. It's just kind of the outline he uses, or the backbone. So he twists it and plays with it, but the basis is 16 panels. But Steve McNiven's a great artist. This doesn't look quite like anything he's ever done before. So it's pretty cool. Then we have Godzilla versus Marvel. Different one-shots of Godzilla versus your favorite Marvel characters, but it's cool. Each one is set in a different era of Marvel history. So issue 1 came out, was the Fantastic Four set in the 60s. Issue 2 is out versus the Hulk in the 70s. So the rest of them, we got Spider-Man in the 80s, X-Men in the 90s, the New Avengers in the 2000s, and then Thor in the 2010s. So we've kind of let Godzilla
the hot ones of each of those decades.
Right. So they're not, they're The scripting was a little bit, like the '60s one was a little bit cheesy. It had a little bit of the '60s Stan Lee flair to it, but the art's still modern. It's not trying to ape the styles or anything, but it's just a cool experiment, and it's fun to let Godzilla rampage through the Marvel.
We're trying to ape it. They will use King Kong.
Right. Oh, I'm sure that's next summer.
Mm-hmm.
All right, then fun little book from Image, G.I. Joe Silent Mission. So it has been 40 years
Wow.
since Grandma Barnes bought Silent Interlude off the spinner rack.
It has been. It has been that long.
Rated G for Grandma Barnes.
Oh, man.
G.I. Joe number 21 broke all the rules, did an issue with no word balloons, and went down in history as a classic, a book that is still being talked about today. So they went back and each week in April put out a new book, a silent mission. Beachhead, Jinx, Spirit, Roadblock, and Duke each had a one-shot. No dialogue whatsoever, just action, just art.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about that Beachhead. He's got such a good outfit. I really like his look.
I saw some G.I. Joe 21s down at the Silent Comics the other day.
Multiple 21s?
They just did a facsimile version, reprinted G.I. Joe 21. So if you missed 41s, if you didn't have a Granny Barnes,
that's right,
you can pick up the facsimile reprint.
Bring your granny down to buy it for you today.
How can you read this? There's no pictures.
Well, some people use their imagination.
Well, I must hurry back to my comic book store where I dispense the insults rather than absorb them.
Happens all the time. Read a comic book, okay?
All right, you guys reading anything? Anything to recommend?
Oh, I'm reading that new G.I. Joe, I think. And I'm reading Saga, although I haven't gotten to the last 3 issues. I just went ahead and waited until they finished up this arc. I need to read those last 3. You know better than I do what the heck I'm reading. I think it might be it.
Not reading Captain America because it took him away.
There isn't any Captain America, but I am highly anticipating Chip Zdarsky's run. I'm hyped about that. Excited.
Yeah, I'm also reading that new G.I. Joe. Reading Thundercats and one of the new spin-offs, Thundercats Lost, currently. And I've picked up the first couple issues of that new Silverhawks book. Hasn't been too bad, just kind of getting started with that. But I think that's about it. A lot of Thundercats here lately.
You were just at a show, picked up some cool older stuff.
Yeah, so yeah, a couple weeks ago, I guess, there was a fairly local show happening that I hadn't been to before up in Canton, Ohio, North Canton, Ohio, and I decided very last minute that, hey, I've got nothing going on this weekend. Maybe I'll just go and
take the toy trail to Canton.
Take the toy trail.
Follow the map.
That's exactly right. Because everybody knows, hey, if the show isn't great, I can always hop on the toy trail right, across town, and make the day will be saved. So, no, it was good. I left, didn't leave super early or anything like that. Just kind of ended up going by myself. My son was going to go, but he woke up it was on a Sunday, and he woke up about 4 a.m. Really sick, so he couldn't go. But it was fun. It was a good day. Got up there. It was a parking lot was packed when I arrived, and when I got in there, I think they had about 30 some vendors. A lot of the vendors had multiple tables, of course, but lot of books, a lot to look through and go through. Even more people. Like when I got up there, it was slammed. It was hard in the beginning to even like, you know, you kind of had to wait around behind 2 or 3 people to even get to a box to look through that you wanted to look through. So that part wasn't great at first. There were some vendors that had some toys a little bit and assorted things that were different than comics, but mostly comics. Just a comic show, no celebrities, nothing like that. But what kind of happened was I was there about an hour and a half, and I was like, man, it's just too many people. I was like, I'm getting kind of hungry. I need a break. So up front, they just kind of had a real, you know, casual, hey, if you need to leave and you want to come back, grab a stamp your hand, and you know, get you back in the door later that day. So it was one day. So I left and decided, hey, I'm gonna hop the toy trail and go about 5 minutes away here and down to Sir Troy's Toy Kingdom that I've talked about before. So I went down there and kind of hung out, shopped around, took my time, just me, so I could, you know, spend as much time looking at toys as I wanted to, and had a real good time.
You didn't even bring any. Did you even bring any toys home with you?
I did. I actually picked up a Superpowers Metamorpho figure at the Toy Kingdom store. And so I did that. Didn't take as long as I anticipated. So right down the road from there, I stopped over at Happy Pappy's again. Kind of went through that store, Happy Pappy's action figures, and Happy Pappy was in there. It's a really cool vintage store. It's all vintage. A lot of stuff on cards. Good assortment of baggy toys, a lot of, you know, the usual stuff in the glass cases. But real nice selection. They're really nice. So I kind of looked around there. They didn't have anything Superpowers that I was really interested in vintage wise. So I didn't end up buying anything there, but I talked to those guys for a while and went through the store. And then by that point I was like, okay, I think, you know, maybe the comic show will be cleared out a little bit. So headed back over there, walked right back in. And indeed, there were still a lot of people there, but it had cleared out plenty. So I was able to just take the rest of the afternoon and go through the back issues and bought some fun 80s comics and came home with a Booster Gold #1. That was my big pickup for the day. The rest of the stuff was just like some fun. Like I picked up a 3-pack of Raiders of the Lost Ark. I think from '81 that had come out. I got a bunch of old Superpowers issues that were really fun, and a couple runs on that. I picked up an Atari Force comic, and just some good '80s stuff. I was having a good time. Got a nice little deal on a Justice League run miniseries from the early 2000s. So some of my favorite characters with Booster and Max Lord and Beetle and all those guys. So yeah, it was a good day.
That's most of what I've been reading lately is older stuff like that. Like these last couple shows we've gone to, I've got some good dollar bin hits. So I got most of Walt Simonson's Fantastic Four run, which I know he's most famous for Thor, but I know I've always heard it was a fun run that he did on that book. So yeah, it's really good time travel story and some crazy shenanigans in the early 90s. And I've been reading Mark Waid's Captain America run from the Heroes Return era. Got most of that run finished. So I've just been going through some older stuff that was missing from my want list. So that's been fun revisiting these different eras in comics.
Yeah. I've been I sort of started collecting Justice League #1 covers, Kevin Maguire homage covers, and some just Kevin Maguire covers from other books that I've been kind of running as I run into them in the wild lately. Bought a couple off of Jordan. I don't know, a couple weeks ago or so that were good finds. But yeah, I've been kind of doing that also, which is, collecting too much stuff is what's going on. But
how many are you going to get signed at Galaxy Talk?
I don't know. As many as I can afford.
Kevin Maguire this December. He's supposed to be in Columbus.
I'm excited about it. Yeah, I don't know. I had them all out the other day, and it was just like, I don't even know which ones to pick exactly. So it's going to be some tough choices.
Yeah, he did that Captain America miniseries like 15 years ago. I had him sign the cover of the #1. Signed the Shield. He's on there.
You see him at Heroes Con? Is that where you saw him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty sure that's where it was.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. So, I've been doing that. But I don't know. It's been, a lot of stuff here lately, but just out there, trying to get through the weird times we're in, and with happy stuff and fun stuff and why not? If you're
that's
able.
the crazy part is all the turmoil in the comic industry, and like there's some really good books coming out. Like this is the best comics have been in a while as things have gotten crazy. So who knows? Maybe that's the art form rebelling against the craziness in the world. Who knows? But there's some great stuff and plenty to enjoy coming up on Free Comic Book Day. Always the first Saturday in May. Saturday, May 3rd at your favorite local comic shop. We hope you will go. We hope you'll bring the kids, introduce them to the wonders of comic books. There's a character they recognize. Even if they've never read a comic, there's video game characters, movie characters, cartoon characters from their favorite, Minecraft. We know the kids love Minecraft. It's out there. So, yeah, there's always something to enjoy in a comic book, and we hope you'll take this opportunity to sample some of the great stuff that's out there and share it with the ones you love, just like we do every week here at KPP. Thank you for joining us, and we'll be back soon. My name is Jordan Love.
Cliff Barnes.
Seth. Bye forever.
Ka-Pow, the Pop Cultured Podcast, is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. Sounds, music, and clips played during the podcast are property of copyright holders. All original content is property of Ka-Pow, the Pop Cultured Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave a comment. KPP can be found on Apple Podcasts, Podbean, YouTube Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever podcasts can be found. You can connect with us through social media on Facebook, YouTube, or email Ka-Pow, the Pop Cultured Podcast @gmail.com. Join our Patreon page to help support the show at patreon.com/udownwithkpp for special content and early access to episodes. We are grateful to anyone who chooses to contribute. Most of our content will remain free, so please click the thumbs up, like, share, and ask your friends. You down with KPP? How many people still come in and think that all the comic books are free?
Too many.
Too many.
We need to teach them about the 95-cent margin.
All right, ready?
I think so.
Let's do it.
And if we can keep this one like G-rated, we can share it on the Asylum.
No promises.
Out there
G for well, let me get something to drink or something.
I mean, I know nobody cares, but I always just get.
I was surprised the Poobah Awards had like 40.
That had huge. That's like twice anything from the last anything after or before it.
Yeah. Yeah, it had a bunch of downloads for us.
I'm excited to go see Sinners tomorrow.
I wondered when you were going to
say that. I'm not going to say that in the G-rated episode.
Yeah.
It's getting good reviews.
Yeah, I saw that.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We're so happy to have you. My name is Jordan Lowe, and this is... I do the other thing first.
That's all right. Everybody has Tourette's now.